Oh shit, it's Chris.
Leon S. Kennedy?
Depends who's asking.
Alpha, you read me, sir? Yeah, they're safe. I got them. Yes, sir. Mr. Kennedy, I have a message from Captain Redfield.
Holy shit, Chris came to rescue them.
I'll be damned. Can't believe that antiviral actually worked. Feel better than I have in ages.
Oh, thank God. I'm glad you're okay.
We got a dose with your name on it. We'll be back in action in no time.
Thank you, Leon.
Would have been a lot smoother if Chris hadn't been so late to the party.
Where is Chris, anyway?
No idea. I'm sure I'll run into him at some point. Yeah, I'll call you back. It's over then.
Yeah. Hope this really was our last hope.
Oh, let's pray Umbrella hasn't left us any more nasty surprises.
I wish we could have saved Emily.
Grace. I didn't hit any of her vitals. She could still be alive.
What are you saying?
Maybe we can save her.
The government has confirmed the existence of an actively trading bioweapons lab located here in the ruins of Raccoon City. The origin point for the worldwide spread of bioorganic weapons. This illegal facility appears to have been in operation for decades.
Sources say that the extension of the lockdown and the recent series of mysterious deaths may be related to tragic events in Raccoon City 28 years ago.
Evidence seized in Raccoon City has led the Justice Department to reopen its investigation into Oswald Spencer and the long-defunct Umbrella Corporation. Some believe the government deliberately drove Umbrella into bankruptcy.
The late Alyssa Ashcroft is credited with cracking the Oswald Spencer story. Conspiracy theorists are already claiming that she was killed in a cover-up, and that the organization responsible is secretly controlling our government.
Tonight, in a speech from the Oval Office, the president is expected to reject allegations of any government involvement since the Raccoon City incident.
Grace? Emily, I mean? She's alive. Emily is alive. Well, there's of course more uploading to Resident Evil. Holy shit, that ending leaves so much more than what I expected. Also, fucking banger of an ending theme song. Holy shit. I'm gonna skip. Can I skip this, please? Oh, hello. We back at the FBI? We are back at the FBI.
And Sherry's okay? Oh, good. I'm so glad. Emily, yeah, she's doing great.
Hold on, we're gonna just skip past that. We saved Emily?
I'm actually teaching her how to read.
Grace says, Emily, she's doing fine. And then her current line is, I'm actually teaching her how to read. Emily's alive. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys are getting more reaction than normal. Holy shit, Emily's alive?
Grace. Grace. Where's that report?
Sorry. Leon, gotta go. Catch up soon.
It's... That gives my heart so much fucking love right now. Grace not only has a picture of her and her adoptive mom, because again, Grace is a orphan that Spencer took in, but she also has a picture of her and Emily. And to top it all off, she's checking in with Leon and Sherry. I know that my best friend hasn't played the game to its entirety, but holy shit is this. This is amazing. I love this ending. Oh, there's more to Raccoon? Is Chris here? No, it's Umbrella.
Remaining BSAA forces have been advised. Retrieving the objective before they send in the wolves.
Ah, great. So what this tells me is that Umbrella, even though it's in shattered remains, took possibly the antivirus and is then going to expand on it, making more active and hostile viruses. Also, can we note that it took me 9 hours in total, I'm gonna round up and say 10 hours, to beat the game? Okay. Really quick before I let anything else play out. And take a point away because I am drunk, so please allow everything to be as non-biased as you possibly can. One, I will say, the spoiler I saw online was the quote-unquote bad ending, which based on what I'm reading right now is a non-canon ending. The reason I am glad the canon ending is what it is because for the first time ever in Resident Evil, we have a quote-unquote choose your own ending. So the ending I chose is the quote-unquote canon and good ending. So saving Leon is the canon ending. Thank fuck for that, because holy shit, I would have lost my shit if Leon died. That said, I'm only going to base my experience based on the good ending that I got. Spencer creates an antivirus that cures all infections. However, based on the post-credit scene that we got, the remnants of Umbrella may or may not have access to this antivirus, which can then allow them to create stronger strains of the virus, which will probably propel Resident Evil into another era of nothing but bioweapons. The idea that bioweapons exist and that the BSAA is participantly active in using bioweapons is a huge no-no in terms of what Chris Redfield is doing with his quote-unquote wolves. I don't know if we're going to see more in the next game or if there's a DLC, because I know DLC is announced for this. Also, bless you, by the way. But with everything that's happened thus far, I feel like with the canon ending that we got, we are just getting started at dismantling all of the bioweapons. I have no idea what this Splinter Cell of Umbrella is going to do next. But to me, it feels like it's going to be getting closer to the end of this series as a total. That being said, that's where I end with the lore. Now let's talk about the game overall, which I've never said before. The campaign as a whole has a lot of questions. For me, the biggest takeaways are Grace. Grace is, and still after the game, currently an FBI agent. I don't think the FBI would send a rookie field investigator to a crime scene without a senior operative or without proper field training. The fact that Grace has to pull out of her backpack a badge and a firearm is a huge no-no. You should have your badge on you, readily available, not in a backpack, in case you need to come up with local law enforcement to the region you're investigating. In addition, you should have your firearm ready and presentable should the need arise. The fact that she pulls it out of a backpack is a huge no-no. And I'm basing this off of what I know about what local military / law enforcement should be doing. Furthermore, Grace's, at least in the early game, fight or flight response is a huge fucking issue for me because it boils down to her being scared 90% of the time, only to realize towards the end of whatever the encounter is, oh shit, I should have ran away. That bugs the fuck out of me. For me personally, I am a fight person when it comes to fight or flight response, and the fact that she sits and ponders for a minute before she even comes to the conclusion of, oh shit, I should have fought, bothers me a lot. Leon's campaign, for the most part, is very, 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 very short. And unless you do the minimal you can do as Grace, when you get to Leon's portions where he overlaps with Grace, there is almost nothing to do as Leon. If you do the minimal there is as Grace, you probably have more to explore and do as Leon. But if you do the most you can as Grace, when it comes to the overlapping sections, such as the asylum as Leon, there is almost nothing to do. So that cuts down Leon's campaign portion to a third of the overall game. That being said, it is a huge difference night and day. Grace being the new face to Resident Evil versus Leon being the classic veteran of Resident Evil is a huge night and day response to who the characters are. And in addition to how their campaigns go, Grace having first person really pushes the perspective of horror first versus Leon, where it is, I've done this every fucking day for the past 20 years. I'm gonna just rush through this. So first person for Grace, great, because that really puts the horror element of Resident Evil. Whereas Leon being third person, great, because that puts the action / veteran aspect of Resident Evil. Now, yes, I am aware that as a player, I can play either third person for both or first person for both, but having the different perspectives of both playstyles is a huge refreshment in how Resident Evil has been. Because in the past, we've either had fixed camera, third person, or first person. To have the varying perspectives of how players should play the game is a huge breadth in how campaign should go. In addition, looking at Resident Evil 2, having a character campaign is different. Whereas in Resident Evil 2, being able to play as Claire or Leon and progress through the story as normal versus doing a second run as the other person, this takes both perspectives and puts it in place of a specific timeline as to how they are both experiencing the events that are happening. With that said, And again, I apologize. I am drunk. I will, if I were you, I'd take a point away from my overall perspective. When we get to the second half of the game, Grace isn't the focus of it. The first half of the game was 100% Grace. The second half was 100% Leon based. And it is Leon dealing with the effects of the T virus mutation in him, which is why he's sick, why he's looking for answers. Whereas Grace is just now trying to help Leon get a cure. She doesn't know she's getting a cure, but that's what she's going for. And so with the second half of the game where Grace is more competent, where she's not just like, oh shit, well, fuck it, I gotta deal with this, is a huge rebreath into everything that we've dealt so far. I have hiccups now, fuck me. With that said, I'm going to cut everything short because I know I'm drunk. I know I'm having a hard time speaking. With all this said, overall, if I were to base the game on what I've played on a single run so far, I would say, and this isn't with me being drunk, with me being somewhat biased, I'll take a point away overall. It is a solid, I want to say 9, but even with my own realization of how fucked I am, I'll say 8. It is a solid 8 out of 10. I still have reservations about Grace, but with the game that we've gotten thus far, with Leon's involvement, with Grace's turnaround towards the end, it is cemented as a really good game. Knowing the lore that I know, and knowing the lore that this game has built on, it stands as a solid 8 for a game that is solely story based. I don't like Grace's intro, but her ending is great. Leon's intro feels a little bit missing, but towards the end, it makes a huge difference because of how involved he is with Raccoon City. So when we look at the game as an overall piece, I would say it's an 8 out of 10. It is definitely worth a play. It is worth you looking at every single file you can come across to get some lore if you haven't played the games thus far. And it is definitely worth playing a second time over. I know that there's a puzzle that I have currently active that that is dependent on a second run, but in what I've played thus far, it is a solid 8 out of 10. I know that score could change if I keep doing New Game Plus over and over and over again, such as my experience with Resident Evil 8, but in the core of what this game is, it is going to sit for me at an 8 out of 10. It is a phenomenal game. If you love zombie stuff, if you love Resident Evil as a whole, if you love just the different perspectives you can get in a game, this is definitely a title worth picking up, and I cannot stress that enough. It sits at a high 8 out of 10, and even with the quote-unquote canon ending of saving Leon, it is going to sit at a high pedestal for me because it is going to be hard to want to try and even get a negative ending. I don't know if Allie's still here. Allie, you still here, babe? What do you think, based on everything you've seen thus far, everything you've heard of me reacting, how do you feel about the game? I don't know what I'm going to do next. Resident Evil 10 might be, if I had to guess, the game that ends all of it, because now we could finish with Chris and the BSAA and the viruses and everything, because this game pretty much with what it is, with Spencer's atonement, ends all of the viruses. Spencer had a huge 180 in terms of lore. He went from being a manipulative asshole to being a paragon of hope because he decided to be human versus just bottom line corporate funding asshole. So if we get a Resident Evil 10, it could be Chris finally finishes up with all the viruses, the BSAA's downfall, Umbrella's complete downfall, And maybe we can get Leon or Claire or Ada or someone to come back from the other previous games with Chris, with Grace, or even Rose to finish all of this. I feel like what Capcom has done is set up for the end of a series because of how close to the end of a entire lore base that we're getting to. And again, I am 100% biased. I'm 100% drunk. It is hard to look at this game objectively. If I play it a second time, maybe I'll have a different opinion. But this is a first run, first thought game review. I am gonna highly hold it at an 8 out of 10. I can't think of a single game I've held higher than 8, but in what this game is, it is a solid 8 out of 10. And whether or not you want to take a point away or add a point, because I am trying my best to be non-biased while being drunk and very loving of this game, it is a phenomenal title. Is this worth your money? Is it worth the playthrough? Abso-fucking-lutely. It is a great game, a great title. It is worth every single penny I've sunk into it. I went from hating half of the game because of Grace to loving it because as the game progressed, it got a little bit better. We went from Leon being the veteran to dealing with zombies 24/7, from Grace being a novice and not knowing a single thing, to Grace being like, fuck it, zombies, I'll deal with it, to Leon being like, great, another fucking Tuesday, I'll deal with it. It went from being like, oh god, what am I gonna do, to, fuck, more zombies. Guess I'll get to work. And the fact that I beat it in an overall, from what the game can tell, 9 hours and 48 minutes versus the 12 to 16 that they recommended, it is a worthwhile game. Does it suck at certain points? Absolutely. I will argue that the standard quote-unquote classic mode is more challenging because in order to save the game, you need ribbons. That adds a layer of difficulty to the game. Based on how I played it, standard, modern, it was fun. I know that there are challenges that can be done. Actually, you know what? Let's skip this part. Insanity. There's another difficulty unlocked now. Behind the scenes. Interesting. So there's some interesting weapons that you can get. Oh, the Matilda. Nice. Ooh. There's some weapons you can get as specific characters. Now, what this makes me wonder is, can I get infinite ammo? Ooh, hello. Trusted charm. Ooh. I like these. Infinite ammo is 50,000 challenge points. Interesting. Interesting. There's a lot of things to unlock in this game. I don't know if I'm going to play a new game plus. It is very much worth all of it. But whether or not I'm going to play it is another question. I don't know if I will play it. It is fun nonetheless. What's this? I want to back out. Oh, this is Grace's report of everything we've done, the lore, all of it. What am I at? 3 hours? I think I'll end here actually. These are all the challenges that are available to do. What are the challenges? Complete the main story on at least standard classic difficulty. Complete the main story on insanity difficulty. Use an ink ribbon to save at a typewriter. So there are 16 challenges I can currently do.